O Cris Aceto decidiu se pronunciar sobre o que realmente aconteceu com o Ramon nos bastidores do Olímpia e citou situações que estão dando o que falar envolvendo outros atletas. Galera, se liga só nesse preço absurdo, 1 kg de creatina da Growth por apenas R$ 149, comprando agora no site em estoque com envio imediato. Isso mesmo, parece mentira, mas não é. Porém, tomem cuidado para evitar cair em golpe. Para acessar o site oficial é só clicar no link que deixamos aqui na descrição e ativando o cupom Notícias Maromba você vai pagar ainda mais barato. 1 kg de creatina vai sair por apenas R$ 146,88. E também, se você preferir, pode levar 500 gramas de creatina por menos de R$ 78, utilizando o cupom Notícias Maromba e pagando no Pix ou boleto. Essa é a hora de você abastecer o estoque. Clica no link aqui na descrição e aproveita. O Olímpia passou, mas ainda está dando o que falar. Parece que algumas situações estão vindo à tona referente a tudo o que aconteceu nas últimas semanas. O Cris Aceto participou recentemente de uma live onde bateu um papo com o Dave Palum, e lá eles acabaram expondo muita coisa que poucos sabiam, revelando os bastidores não só desse Olímpia, mas também de coisas que aconteceram até mesmo com o Ramon e nunca vieram a público. E galera, você provavelmente viu que nós temos trazido alguns vídeos do Blad com o IA aqui, para facilitar um pouco para algumas pessoas. Porém, nesse vídeo em específico, até pela qualidade do áudio, não ficou totalmente fiel. Por isso, decidimos realmente manter legendado, para evitar qualquer erro de dublagem que pudesse mudar o contexto do que foi dito, já que são declarações importantes que não podem ser mal interpretadas ou gerar dúvidas. Dito isso, bora conferir. Antes eu só peço que você fortaleça com o seu like, que vai ajudar bastante, principalmente a entendermos o tipo de conteúdo que o público quer ver, e também para que o vídeo seja disseminado para outras pessoas. Nós estamos trazendo tudo o que está acontecendo de relevante no cenário nacional e internacional de fisiculturismo. Então, se você quer garantir que vai receber tudo que sair aqui no canal, confere aí se você está inscrito. Se não estiver, se inscreve e também ativa o sininho de notificações. Então agora bora lá conferir o que foi falado.
All right, let's talk about Classic Physique. What a exciting, battle between Ramon Dino and Mike Sommerfeld. But we have to really start before we talk about the coverage with what went on prior to this. So, what was it, about a week or two? But for a couple of weeks prior to the show, everyone was bitching and complaining about the fact that they're not hiding these guys properly. Now, a couple of years ago, we had a problem with Ramon making weight because he was always a certain height, and then he went to the Olympia and he was heighted in at a lower height, and he had to lose an exorbitant amount of weight, right? What year was that? 2-3 years ago?
He had
Chris?
like everyone know he had to. It was 2023. He had to make the weight, and he failed to make the weight.
But wasn't it because he was heighted in at a lower height?
No.
Oh.
No. What happened was he had to make the weight. I knew what the weight was. We left the hotel room, and my top priority only was to make the weight. And he went to weigh-ins and he didn't make the weight. And we didn't have much time, and so we went back to the hotel room, and I locked him into the bathroom, turned the hot water on, and sat in the tub, and he was extremely dehydrated. And we walked in late to the weigh-in, and they weighed him in, and he made the weight. So because he was so depleted, apparently, he went and they measured his height, and they said, "You're not tall enough."
Oh my God.
And just a little tidbit, there were two people in that room checking that height and weight. One was Chris Bumstead, one was Hanny Rambod.
Because they were worried about him. Yeah,
like Logan Franklin, who said that Ramon Dino would not make the weight. They thought he wouldn't make the weight. But nobody expected him not to make the height.
Right.
So when they heighted him in, not only did they height him in, his feet were held on the platform.
Are you serious?
So that he would not cheat. So this is why this is the best show on bodybuilding, Heavy Muscle Radio. That's a fact. His feet were held, which is fine because there are rules. Only this past week, do I see pictures of, at the same show, Chris Bumstead wearing a wig being measured in this much taller.
You mean last year's show?
No, it was 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years. So you're at the same show you're talking about. The same show.
Ago.
Okay, the same
and
show.
And then last year we saw the weird hairdos on the Liberace hairdo on
Urs.
hers, and we saw the woodworker hairdo um,
You're funny, Chris.
on on
Mike. Mike.
Mike, and the point is I did not know that people would show up at Titans with an idea that I am going to come in and skirt the official height based on my hairdo. That is not fair in the context of 2 years ago. I just told you what happened. Ramon did not make the weight, and he made the weight, and then everyone was surprised. The people on the scale were surprised that when they put the thing on his head, they did it like 4 times and said, you're not tall enough anymore. And he only had 15 minutes to make the height. That was a gut punch, because in my head, it never factored in. You spend all this time trying to make the weight, and now, you're a different height. And I ask people, and they're like, these are the rules. You have to be a certain height and weight, and rules are rules. I did not know that other people, I just named them,
Cheating.
cheated. So I don't know how we got to this point, but as you know, a week before, an email was sent out that said, you must be, we're not giving you an ounce on the scale, and we're not going to give you a centimeter on the height. And that's no problem if it applies to everyone.
Right.
And so, the way I look at it is rules are rules, and these are, a reinforcement of what the rules should be. I don't know what happened is in the past, how it got out of hand where, apparently someone told me, I don't know if it's true or not, but Urs had that hairdo so he could make the weight.
I don't blame him if it was working. Yeah, it's not his fault. It's the judges.
No,
it's the
because
people who height in's fault.
He did it. Sommerfeld did it. Bumstead did it.
Right.
Ramon didn't do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Every pound counts.
Sure.
Because I've always said in the past, and I've said it a million times on the show, I sent you, Dave, pictures, hotel room pictures, and which you could. I used to send people who I know like pictures of Eduardo, and they'd say this guy is unbeatable in the 212s, and I'd say, well, he weighs, it's going to be a lot of hard work, and going to take a lot of creativity to get him down to the 212. And when you're down to 212, when you're not really technically a 212 bodybuilder, you're almost on the edge of being a good open bodybuilder.
Right.
Last, even 2 pounds can make a humongous difference. And the point is, look at Hardy. He's probably 2 pounds lighter, or maybe 3 for the night show, and he looked like blazing versus, really hard in prejudging. So everything counts. So when you have rules in place and they're not applied to everyone all the time evenly, it gets into this really gray, critical, messy area where accusations are made into like, why aren't we measuring people the way they should be measured?
Right.
Because on the scale, you couldn't you can quote cheat on with these hair, with hairstyles, but you couldn't go. There would never in a million years, if you have to be 100 kilos, come to the weigh-in and you say, oh, I'm 101. They say, okay, you're good enough. Get off the scale.
No, it's not gonna happen. No, definitely not. Definitely not gonna happen.
So by definition, when you're cheating on the height, you're actually cheating on the weight.
Well, yeah, you're giving yourself the ability to weigh more. 100%, Chris. And
people there were people who said, "Oh, I didn't make the weight." Yes, you did make the weight. You just didn't make the height. It's so funny that people say, "Oh, I didn't make my weight class." You made it. You're the same weight as last year. You didn't make the height.
Let's look at someone posted something here. Let's see. Let's look at Mike Sommerfeld from 24 to 25 right there. So he was 10 pounds lighter, right?
I don't know what the parameters were for him, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, he was down. He was so when all was said and done, and they heighted these guys in. Mike went down a height class, so he had to drop at about 10 pounds, I think. And I know Neil Hill was his coach was very upset. I think there was a real. I don't know if I
that
could
they were
find
going
it.
to really that they were going to actually take a legitimate height versus a.
He made it seem as though it was like a negative type of thing, but I really, if you think about it, it really was a positive thing because at least they told these guys when think about it, when Ramon went there, you didn't know until you got to the weigh-in that this was going on, right? I mean,
No, that's not the context. He had always heighted in the exact same, and because he was dehydrated, he shrunk.
no, I know that, but what I'm saying is that he wasn't giving any advance notice. In other words, all these guys were given a week's advance notice. Hey, listen, we're going to height you in correctly, so you better make sure that you're going to make your weight for your height. And so, if anything, the competitors should say thank you for that because that they gave the ability to make a change. So I think I found the video. Hold on, let me see. And Neil's a great coach and everything like that, but you can't be mad at the system. This is the way it works. Everyone's got the same rules.
So we never did anything all year or since the last show to prep for this. So are we going to make height and weight? We'll have to wait and see. Because we spent 6 months prepping for the show, 6 months to make weight. Not six. And then, and the thing is, why did they change the rules? How can you justify changing something last minute?
They really didn't change it last minute. They just said we're gonna make sure that the heights are accurate. I think that was a. You know what? They could have not done anything, Chris. We've seen stuff like that happen in the past. I think the fact that they actually listened to the social media outcry about this and the height discrepancy because people were putting pictures up with how they were hiding these guys in because they were taking pictures. I think the fact that they actually responded to the IFBB and said, "Listen, we're gonna make sure we really enforce these rules this time." To me, that's the right thing to do. I mean, right? Because if they would have said, "Screw it, who cares?" that would have been really corrupt. I think so. I don't know what anyone's complaining about. I mean, they did the right thing, right?
Well, that video, I translate the video as, "Why aren't you allowing me to cheat?"
It doesn't make sense because and Neil is a very logical guy. I think maybe he just felt they worked so hard at to shoot for a certain weight, and now that's changing. But it happened to you and Ramon 2 years ago, and you didn't even know about it till you showed up at the weigh-in.
No, Dave, you're conflating issues. You're missing the point. There's
I'm not conflating issues.
No. That video, I'm translating that video. Why aren't you allowing us to cheat on the height? It sounds a little tough, but that's what it is. And my point was that people apparently have come up with these creative hairdos, or they've at times allowed that the top of the height measurement to come in and touch the top of their hair.
Right. No, I know that.
To measure their height. In Ramon's case, he knew the weight. He knew the height. Because he was too dehydrated, he couldn't make what was always his height. So therefore, they said 2 years ago, you are not meeting the height criteria and you won't be able to compete. And you have 20 minutes. And
he got stretched out, right, by someone. Someone
stretched out, and he made the extra 2 centimeters.
Yeah.
So it's different than we weren't going to a weigh-in and hoping that they would, Ramon has some type of creative hairdo with mousse up another 5 centimeters, and they would put the top of the height measurement on top of that hairdo.
Right. Given the fact that Mike had to make a lighter weight, which he did, thank God. Love Mike. Love the guy. The guy's a great guy. I feel bad for him, but you know what? Those are the rules of the rules. It happened to Ramon. It happened to other people too. It wasn't just Mike that had to go down. There were guys that had to go and kill themselves to make that weight. Michael DeBull he had a big problem making that weight. So these guys all eventually made it. Great, which is good. But the look was different. Mike at 10 pounds heavier at the Arnold is devastating. I mean, Mike 10 pounds lighter is a little more vulnerable. And, his legs weren't quite as big. And I think that opened the door for Ramon to come in and win the show. It was still very close. Give me your analysis of these two guys against each other.
Very close. Very close.
I mean, what was? Give me the breakdown of like what you saw between the two of them.
I thought that I couldn't make up my mind after prejudging. I knew for sure nothing was clear cut. In my mind, I knew for sure. I thought that judges would lean towards. Some judges may lean towards Ramon, some towards Mike, because they're both fantastic. But at the night show, I thought that Ramon was like fuller, denser, harder, and I thought it would be unanimous, not closer to more ones for Ramon at night. But I looked at the score sheets, and it was, I think, a point in both prejudging and final.
Yeah.
The irony is, Mike came down. He still looked crazy because his condition was better, even at a lighter weight, than when he's heavier.
What's interesting is that they only had one score on the scorecards for the.
I thought they had two.
I only see one.
Sure.
It says judging. There was nothing for the finals written there.
Okay, then maybe I just read it twice.
I don't know why, but I mean, it was a 1-point decision. I mean, Ramon won by 1 point, literally. So I thought that, when I was talking to people in the audience and asking them, I think people felt that Ramon had more of a classic physique look versus Mike, who's more of a bodybuilder. And I think the fact that Mike's size that was down a little bit, he was more vulnerable to Ramon, because in the past he would outsize Ramon a little bit, and that's why I was always very suspicious of. I'm like, how the heck did this guy make weight? I love his physique, he's one of the best posers I've ever seen in the classic division, but I'm like, I don't know how he's making weight, and obviously it was the hairdo trick, and a lot of them were doing it, so it wasn't just Mike, and. I'm glad that everything got straightened out and got done the right way. And Ramon, is he the first Brazilian Olympia champ in the men's division?
In the men's division.
Yeah. So he fell to the ground. He was overwhelmed with emotion. It was a great experience to watch him. I mean, you could tell he legitimately was just thrilled to death, and the Brazilian fans love that. Obviously, right? I mean, they're so passionate. The Brazilian. I wish the American fans were that passionate about bodybuilding.
He was like trending #1 on Google Brazil and X, and CNN Brazil did a big story, and all the news, blah blah blah. All the mainstream news in Brazil covered it.
That's awesome.
I think this tells a lot, Dave. This tells a lot of their. I think Ramon's structure, like with the shoulders, this is them, I think, waiting.
Yes.
And when you see him just right there, there's the taller, bigger guy.
Well, I mean, that's why Bumstead ostensibly beat Sommerfeld, right? Last year, better structure.
Well, I mean,
Mike was bigger.
Yeah, he was. He was bigger, actually.
A lot of people thought Mike should have won last year, but we at the end of the day, the analysis was that Bumstead was a more classic look, and I think the same took place with Ramon here. I thought Mike was a very good sport about it. He did not get upset. He congratulated him, and I thought that was a true champion does that. So that's great.
this class to judge. I mean, it's not easy, but it's a little bit. It's a lot of people can judge the men's Open Olympia. You know, first through like 16. There were like 80 guys in the class.
Yeah.
What a hard class to judge.
Oh, I know.
There's people who got, you know, 11th, 12th, 15th, 18th, didn't place. There were a lot of good physiques in that division.
Pois é, galera, como visto, eles decidiram expor tudo que realmente acreditam, que vem acontecendo no cenário. E o Aceito revelou bastante coisa sobre essas situações. São opiniões fortes e críticas que vão mexer bastante com o cenário. Mas agora nós queremos saber o que você acha disso tudo. Comenta a sua opinião aqui embaixo, o vídeo vai ficando por aqui, um abraço a todos e até a próxima.